Hey everybody, just staying here winding the night up, and it wasn't too long ago I was beginning to question whether or not I had any sculpins left in this tank at all. And earlier tonight, in fact, I was just kind of shrugging, thinking I don't, and that maybe I might want to go out and see about maybe catching some more or collecting some more. And so tonight I threw some bloodworms in the tank, which is something I do from time to time, maybe once a week. And I did that a little while ago. And you can see right there, we've got this sculpin that's come out. What I was actually coming over here to have a closer look at was one of my frogs. That was another thing that I was beginning to wonder whether I still had any in the tank. I know it wasn't too long ago I had one that jumped out and it landed in the tank that's sitting right here in front of us. I do have a tank that's actually in front of this tank, and believe it or not, there is water in there. And the frog had jumped out and landed in that tank, and so I put it back in the, into this tank. But that was a while ago, and I didn't know if it was still in there. I thought maybe it had gotten out again, but this time wasn't so lucky and landed in a tank, but made its way into the corner of the basement somewhere. But I did see it come out after I fed the tank with the bloodworms. Those bloodworms really seem to bring everybody out. So I'm really happy to say we've at least got one sculpin left in here. And the last several times I've seen a sculpin in the tank, it was the medium-sized one, I think. I used to have three in here. I had a fairly large one, I had this smaller one, and then I had a medium-sized one. And I think this is the small one. And the one I was seeing as of a week or so ago, I think was the medium-sized one. So this might actually be a second one. I might have another one hiding in the tank somewhere. And if that's the case, I might have two more hiding in the tank. All three of them may still be in there for all I know. I'm not entirely sure. So I'm really excited about that. That's pretty cool. Neat little fish. I still think I'm going to try to catch some more, or hope some more turn up in my trap. It's still out. I never did get down there. Oh, speaking of the devil, there's a little frog coming up to the surface to get some air. Remember, if you are thinking about getting these little dwarf frogs, they are amphibians. They do still need to breathe air from the surface, so they can't be in a really deep tank, and they do have to have access to the surface. You can't have the surface completely covered right to the top. And it's also helpful if they have little sticks or branches or anything that they can sort of prop themselves up and hang out near the surface, so they don't have to expend so much energy going from the deep bottom all the way up to the top every time they need to get a breath of air. But they will do that if you have them in your tank. You will see them pop their heads out and swim up to the top, get a gulp of air. And it's interesting. You can see them preparing for it. They exhale on the way up. You'll see a bubble get released on the way up. And so they're ready by the time, as soon as they break the surface, they take one tiny gulp and go right back down very, very quickly. They break the surface so quickly, it's so hard to imagine they can actually inhale while they're up there, but they do. And then they can hold their breath for quite some time, but they are holding their breath. They don't have gills, and they can't breathe underwater. I'm sure their skin helps them absorb some oxygen from the water, which is probably one of the ways that helps them stay underwater as long as they do. But they are air breathers. They do need to get to the surface every few minutes. You know, it's frequently. It's not once or twice a day. It's every, 5 to 10 minutes they need to get to the surface to get some air again. So keep that in mind if you're interested in getting these frogs. Really cool little animals. Really, really interesting little additions to an aquarium. But just remember, they do have particular needs. They are not fish. Speaking of fish, I'm going to have to stand up here for a minute before my old knees give out. I can only squat down so long, that's starting to hurt. I actually picked up 4 new guppies today, and it doesn't come out really well on camera because this light is so bright. But I got 2 fancy males, and I picked 2. You can actually see them. One is right here, and the other one is right here. And they are almost pure white. Really, really neat looking fish. So I don't know, as they get older, are they going to show some other colors and some subtlety and stuff like that, or are they going to get like purer and whiter? I don't know, but it's going to be interesting. I've never seen a pure white guppy before, but there was two in the tank full of, you know, just when you buy the fancy male guppies, it's sort of like a mixed, you get what you get. And I picked two of those, and then I also picked two more of these yellow. So I don't know which ones are the two new ones that I just got, but I now have about 5 or 6 of these yellow guppies in here. I really like them too. They're so vibrant. It's incredible. I know I've spoken recently about not wanting to add some more guppies that you get from the PetSmart, because I'd like to be able to go down and get some, you know, maybe some higher dollar guppies, some better, more interesting guppies from one of the better fish stores. But I thought, you know, I can still do that. These are guppies. They're not difficult to catch. I can just simply remove some of these and put them in a different tank. I have a few tanks upstairs that I would actually like to add a few little splashes of color. And guppies are a great way to add a little splash of color to a tank. They're fun little fish. They're fantastic little fish. I really love guppies. And so I got no problem doing that. If I wind up getting some better guppies and some more expensive guppies at some point, I can just scoop a few of these out and put them in one of my tanks upstairs and add the really expensive guppies to this tank or whatever. You know, I've got options. I'm not too worried about it. And lastly, I will say that, oh look, there's my white suckerfish. We don't see that one come out very often. And that's the other one. I was just getting ready to talk about the two fish that need to come out of this tank. I caught one the other day that I thought was some kind of new species, and it turned out to be just another creek chub. And so I did catch that one. I wound up catching it last night. Let me get my hand out of the way so you're not looking at the reflection there. So I did get that creek chub out of the tank. I sat here last night very patiently with a net and just waited until it eventually swam in front of the net, and when it did, I got it. And right now it is in one of my grow out tank for my plants. Watch the bubble come out. See? They exhale right before they get to the surface, so as they hit, they're already ready for the inhale. And it is a very, very swift motion. One little shot up and down and they're done. So anyway, I wound up catching that creek chub. I pulled it out. I've got it in another tank in the other room that I use just to grow plants. I do sell plants. I'll put my email down below if you're interested in any aquatic plants. You can hit me on the email. We'll talk. But it's in there for now. I'm going to scoop it out. I'm going to take it back to where I got it. We can shoot some video about that and talk about that later. Tonight, I just wanted to have a little look at that sculpin. We got a little surprise from the frog. And we got a big surprise from my white suckerfish. So this is the end of my day. It's the end of the day for the fish room here. Everything's all darkened down except for this one final tank and this one final light in this one final tank, I should say. And I will leave you with one last look both at the sculpin here. And then the frog is over there burrowing its way down. You can kind of see its butt sticking out a little bit. Alright everybody, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss anything I've got coming up. You never know what it's going to be with me. Don't forget this one, of course, is my Waterfall Tank. Thanks again. I'll see you real soon in the next one.